All right, Beauty and Black fans, here we are. It has been quite a while since I've done a cast member interview, but with the new number one show on Netflix right now, I figured that, hey, why not? Let's do Beauty and Black. We have the talented Dakia Anderson here, who portrayed Leslie in the series. And I hope that you all will enjoy this interview as much as you enjoyed watching the series. The first 8 episodes are out on Netflix right now. Go ahead and boost those numbers up. I am pretty confident that the series is going to do well with part two, I believe in early 2025. But hey, if you want season 2 and 3, you need to go to Netflix, get that subscription, and watch the show. So, with that being said, I want to welcome Dakia to Our Kind Entertainment. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, on this particular channel, cast interviews is something I consider a privilege because typically I review the shows, I do trailer breakdowns, I talk theories and other discussion kind of topics with the fans. But with these one-on-one interviews, I want to get to know you a bit more before we get to your character in the show. That way we kind of lead up to it. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how exactly did you get into acting?
When people ask that, I think my best answer is I've always kind of been a little outgoing and trying to kind of find my placement. And then I performed in like the school plays, theater, even tried musicals, although I can't hold a note to save my life. And just kept going. I just never really knew where to place myself. And then I finally found that this is a career you could pursue and like do full time and do for a living. So, uh, just figured out how to start auditioning and getting into the space. It wasn't really that I looked up to somebody or I wanted to be like somebody I saw up on TV. I don't have that story. I just needed to find my own placement in this journey of thing called life. And I felt like being able to kind of just be multiple different people and show up not always as, I don't know, Dakia was just exciting and fun for me. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool because on some level, I relate to that with YouTube. I never knew YouTube was a thing you could monetize and make a living off of. And not to mention, when I was a
Right.
kid, YouTube didn't exist. And I grew up with dial up
Mhm.
when I did have internet. So that's pretty cool to know what you want to do at such a young age. And, you pretty much pursued it. And despite the fact that there are so many different actors that people say that they looked up to, you knew for yourself that that's what you wanted to do. And the musical
Yeah.
side of things, I can relate. I mean, singing is awesome, just not one of my talents. So,
Not for me. Nope.
yeah. So, after doing some research on your IMDb page, there is a pretty lengthy resume of different projects, shows, and movies you've been in. So, you want to talk about some of your, let's say, what were some of your earliest projects you had the pleasure of being involved with? And I'll save the other half of the question for later because I want to see like were there any characters you portrayed before that are somewhat similar to Leslie from Beauty and Black?
Okay, sure. So I think it's pretty awesome that earlier on, or like some years ago, I worked on Lethal Weapon with Damon Wayans.
Oh
And
yeah,
prior to that, I worked on what's the show? The name is skipping me right now, but I worked with his son, Damon Wayans Jr. And so that to me was like, ooh, like okay, this is like full circle coming together. And now they have a show together now on TV called
Papa's
Papa's
House.
House. And I'm guys, bring me in. What's up? Make it a full circle moment. Also worked on two of Shonda Rhimes shows, Grey's Anatomy and another title that's slipping me right now. But I'm just like, okay, I'm in these worlds with these like giants that I've always dreamt of working with. So that was just always motivating and inspiring and exciting for me as well.
Okay, because now that I think about it, you kind of favor Nina from Papa's House, so you could be like her sister or something.
Oh, I haven't even seen any of the characters yet or watched it, but yeah, I think I'll check it out. I don't even think I'll audition for that show, but I think that's so cool that they're on there.
Yeah, because I think season one they have 3 episodes out. I actually decided to add that series to my channel. It's like a fun kind of, it's a 20-minute bite-sized comedy series. I can watch it, do a
Yeah,
quick video, and I think you can stream them all on Paramount Plus. And I also just read that CBS gave them the green light for a full season one. So it's
I saw that.
18 episodes instead of 15. So if they get a season two, hey, audition for it.
They need to bring me on in. It's like full circle. Let's go.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. And let's see here. Oh yeah, even though I didn't watch it because it's out of my age range, my nephew did grow up watching the Thundermen, so I think you were in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Had a co-star role on The Thundermans on Nickelodeon, I remember.
All right, and looking at the rest of the list here, and again, folks, this is a pretty stacked list. I mean, from different movies and different projects that. Oh, Nashville, yeah, I think I remember that
Yes.
show.
Mhm.
All right, and the next thing is before we started the interview, you stated that Beauty in Black was your first Tyler Perry project that you ever been in.
Yes.
Okay. And how exactly did you get the role as Leslie?
I auditioned and got a call like literally 2 days before I had to be on, maybe 3 or 4 days before, about 3 days before I had to be on set to just be available and time for a fitting. And yeah, it was an audition. It was a self-tape audition and it happened really quickly.
Wow. Okay. And
Yeah.
prior to Beauty in Black, did you ever try to audition for a Tyler Perry project?
Yes, plenty of his series I've auditioned for, like time and time again, but never even got a call back for any or anything. So I was kind of like, when my agent called me, I was like, wait, what? What? Okay. All right, cool. Let's just go with it. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Yeah, because from the past experiences I've had talking with various cast members, there have been some who have said, "Yeah, I've auditioned for like six different things, but didn't get it." But then eventually they finally got the role in this show or this movie, and then it got picked up. So it's always about the whole everything works out the way it's supposed to.
That's exactly it. Because how about this show is Netflix, which is top of my list to be on, and it's number one on Netflix, and it's Tyler Perry. So I'm like, everything works out in the proper timing, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
wow, I was going to save this question, but I just feel like this is the appropriate time to ask it. When
Okay.
working on this show, did you and the rest of the cast know it would be as big as it turned out to be?
Of course not. Like, no idea. I mean, I knew that Tyler Perry has an audience and they always follow everything he does. But like, number one on Netflix, do you know how many amazing shows and movies are on Netflix? And we've surpassed all of those. No, we had no idea. So
I
it's
know,
exciting.
oh, I believe that because I know from my research, whenever he drops a project on there, the Medea films are a given. Anything Medea,
Hmm.
whether it be on BET Plus or I believe Homecoming was the first film he put on Netflix, and that did like, if I remember correctly, like a billion minutes or so within its
See?
first
Yep.
week or the first weekend. I can't remember, but it was like only a few days, and it did monster. I'm talking like thriller numbers here, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
movies like Fall from Grace, Jazzman's Blues. They did high numbers, but not quite Medea. So when I saw that this particular series hit 1.2 billion during its first week, it blew my mind
Yeah.
because I knew this was
Yes.
going to be a hit. Because to me, I remember when I think like Actors Access, I remember covering the information on the show months ago. I want to say like, okay, it's November now. It had to be early 2024. I saw like the
It was
different,
early in the year.
yeah, it
Hmm.
was all the character listings and a brief synopsis. And after reading through everything, I said that, you know what, this show is giving me kind of a blending of all the Queen's Men, P Valley, a bit of have and have nots. And my sister said, you know what, Jeremy, it reminded me of the Players Club. And then it's like he took all those
Yeah. A
elements
lot of people.
together.
Yep.
And to me,
Yep. A
I
lot of
knew the show
people.
would be big, but to be over a billion views, that's just next level. Because
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to talk about like the fan reaction, and that goes with any project, Divorce in Black or any of his shows on whatever network, regardless as to how people feel about the show. What's that thing he always says? I know the pulse of my audience, and he knows it's going to get
Mhm.
views and what's going to sell.
Yep.
So yeah, to see
Yep.
this show skyrocket, it's just insane because now you got to wonder once part two comes out, what will those numbers look like?
Exactly. But everybody's so like ready for part two already. So hopefully that stays up, you know what I mean? And then it comes out and then it's booming. Because everybody that it's like I told you earlier, you either love it or you hate it. So I feel like the people that loved it are excited and ready for it, and the people that hate it are still going to be curious because they were curious enough to watch all 8 episodes of part one. So it's all good. I'm
Exactly.
excited for everybody to see part two.
Yeah, I believe that because like we discussed earlier, everyone who I've spoken to about the show said that they binged it. The only people who have not binged it were people who were at work or they had to do something else, but they immediately went home to watch the last 4 episodes or 6 episodes as quickly as they could. Some people even told me I've watched the entire series 4 times.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, that's wild. I love that. Yes, because I feel like there's so many different moving pieces. I mean, you're gonna miss something. So yeah, go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
that's
why I
awesome.
haven't done my video reviews just yet because there are so many elements to it. I know for me, to
Right.
the people who were saying that it was a mess, there was way too much going on. Um, a lot of stuff was going on, but nothing really happened. I disagree with that, mainly due to the
Yeah.
fact that I don't think that's a Tyler issue. I think that's a streaming platform issue because a common question I get, because most people know me as the Tyler Perry review guy, is like, so Jeremy,
Mhm.
what do you watch in your leisure time? And usually it's like, okay, a sitcom I grew up with or an anime I'm watching for the 50th time. Because I know from my personal experience, it's difficult to get involved or get interested in any new series because nowadays it's not like in the 90s or 2000s when a new show is announced, season one gets like 20 plus episodes. Nowadays, all these new shows come on streaming platforms. So when a series gets a reboot or a new series comes along, the Netflix or Disney Plus or whoever will usually give them maybe 6, and if they're lucky, 10 episodes. And in this era we live in, they get these handful of episodes. And if they don't make huge streaming numbers or if they aren't a trending topic, if they aren't number one every time a new episode drops, more often than not, they get canceled before they can even spread their wings. So these writers and producers, and again, this I'm not in the industry, I'm just looking at it from a fan perspective. I feel like these writers and directors, they have to like what's that expression? Throw everything at them except even the kitchen sink because they
At
need to
once.
yeah, they got to like get these flashy cliffhangers, these explosions, the killing, the whatever it takes to get people talking. That's what they need to do. So then, if
Yeah,
the streaming platform greens like them for an extended season one or maybe a season two, that's when they can kind of flesh out the characters. So I think that when people say messy, messy, this is Tyler stuff. No, I feel like that's an overarching issue that any writer or director for Netflix or Hulu has to deal with. Not to mention, people forget this is only part one of season one.
part one.
There's still a back
Part
half.
one.
So these eight
Yes.
episodes were like the establishing episodes, and then you got to wait and
Yes.
see how it's going to pay off. But hey, even in part two, you got to go in there with a little bit of optimism because, okay, not everything is going to be resolved because guess what? We're hoping for a season two. So you can't have
That's right.
everything resolved. It's all about the
Exactly.
setup. And I will say this,
Hmm.
I will always say that Tyler Perry, regardless of how an episode of whatever show might turn out, he is the undisputed king of cliffhangers. Because you could just sit
Oh
through an
yeah.
episode for 38 minutes and be like, oh, this is boring. But then those final 30 seconds will be like, you got me. I got to come back next week.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. And that leads to the next question here. What was it like working for Tyler Perry at Tyler Perry Studios on this show with him? And I believe, if I remember correctly, he wrote and directed this series and produced it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was it like working with the cast too?
Okay, so working with Mr. Perry was like, like, um, there was one moment where I have a driving scene with like my daughter Kemi, and his energy is just so pure and beautiful, but it's also a little like intimidating. But I've been doing this long enough, so it's like I was like, wait, Dakia, you're not intimidated. Like, but he's just like about, if what I'm saying, I think I'm speaking in circles, but he was just about his business. And it was
Yeah.
exciting to just see him work. And to be directed by him, like what? Uh but it was beautiful. It was almost like a master class because it kind of showed me that I had done the work throughout the years to work at this level because he works pretty fast. Excuse me. Sorry. He works pretty fast, but the fact that I was able to like catch on, know all of my dialogue, know my emotions, and be able to move at his pace just felt so like rewarding. So it was amazing to be able to work with him nonetheless.
Okay, because that is the same answer I always get from any cast member, past or present, because I
Really?
remember on the yes, yes, on the haves and the have nots,
Hmm.
I remember someone said that, you know, working with Tyler was like the first time I worked in such a fast-paced environment. And when I was working on a different studio lot for like a show on the CW, I was kind of taken aback because at Tyler Perry Studios, it's like, you got to be at game face 100% of the time, 24/7. So to be at a
Yes.
studio lot where it's more relaxed and slowed down, people looked at me for like professionalism guides because, they weren't used to seeing someone as, serious about the craft
Right.
because what takes like 2 weeks to film one episode on a different production company's time, like the CW or ABC, we're wrapping up a whole season at Tyler Perry Studios. So
Yes.
I remember Tyler Perry said in an interview once that when it comes to Tyler Perry Studios, he wants to train the people who work in front and behind the camera to be so professional and so ready for the world that when they step off the studio lot and go to any other production place in Hollywood, they're prepared. And I've had people from the production side of things reach out over the years and they said, like, yeah, I mean, it is crazy at times because it's so fast paced it is, but it turns out that training never goes away. So now when I'm working on a different
Absolutely.
studio, I'm just, what's the word? Overly
Ahead of the
qualified.
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's great to
Absolutely.
hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. I'm grateful.
I believe it because it's just one of those
Hmm.
experiences where I think when you said that he's about his business and other people have said this as well, he knows what he wants and he knows how to get it out of the people acting in the scene. And when he's behind the camera,
Absolutely.
it's like he knows exactly what he wants. And that's another thing I want
Absolutely.
to talk about. When that first trailer dropped, I was in awe because I always love seeing the different ways he shoots his projects because it was just
Hmm.
beautiful. When I saw that first
Yeah.
trailer, when I saw Crystal like
Yep.
walking out of the mansion, and then we just go to all
Yeah.
these different scenes, it was
Yep.
breathtaking. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it was shot so well. It looks so good. It's so Netflix level. I'm so proud of the studio for like, just stepping up and like showing up for Netflix. And it's just like, it's so, it's deserving to be number one.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with
Put
that.
a
And
lot
that's
of
the one.
time into it.
Oh yeah, and it comes through because typically when things are filmed with him, I've had, examples of television shows where the actors say, "Hey, we filmed a whole season in like 9 days," but when it comes to the
Mhm.
movies, I just know, well, in this case, the television show, you could just tell it has that Tyler Perry touch where it's like, okay, he
Yep.
knew exactly what to do in order to make this production level quality of a streaming platform because I'm only used to seeing this level of production in his films. So to actually see it in a
Right.
series, again, it just makes me so excited for what's coming down the pipeline, in his future Netflix shows, which I have no doubt he'll do. But in terms of
Yes.
Leslie as a character, I don't know. Hopefully, you won't answer this question the way I hope you don't, but do you relate to her in any way?
Uh, no, I do not relate to Leslie in many ways. However, I am from Baltimore City, so I've seen some characters like this. So it's easy to pull, you know what I mean, from different life experiences, period.
Okay. Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
know. Location, not personality. And when it comes to
Yes.
your okay, and we're only talking about the 8 episodes that have aired, so no part two. What was your favorite scene to film?
I think my favorite scene in part one would be the car scene where I have to put my daughter Kimmy out the car. because I got to play with the emotions and I actually got to drive that big old car that was actually challenging the drive. And Mr. Perry had me driving it around the parking lot. And then I think I drove it so far one time, he was like, "Where'd she go?" I think I just got like, confused and I was just driving. I didn't know where to go because I had to drive like almost in like a rectangle after the scene and before the scene. So yeah, that was my favorite scene so far in part one.
As long as you didn't have to parallel park. And
Right.
I will say this much. When you look at a character like Leslie, this is one of the biggest things, not a complaint from fans, but kind of a common point of discussion is Kimmy was basically taking a beating during the first part. It's like everybody was like kicking her when she's down, and she just wants to
Hmm.
kind of come up in the world. But I know when I first watched the show, or even when I watched the trailer, it gave me the haves and have nots vibes, not just by the show itself, but just the title where you have one character who's kind of on top of the world, then you have another character who's down here, but they just want to elevate. And it's all about making it to the top. But you also look at the factor of, I want to get there no matter what it takes. And it's a common saying that no money is, or good, there's no good money. Like basically, if you're rich, if you have a lot of money, it's usually gotten through ill-gotten gains, because that's one of the biggest
Hmm.
twists and turns of this series, that you see the face of this company that is inspiring others, but once you peel back the layers, when you take that mask off like Scooby-Doo, you realize, oh man, the corruption, the infighting, the
Hmm.
stabbing in the back. And it is a
Yep.
question at the end of the day of, do you think the money is really worth it?
In our reality, uh,
um
no, not necessarily. However,
hey,
some
two
people,
words. I got two words for you.
okay,
Grocery
okay,
prices. Grocery prices.
that part, that part. So I mean, maybe it's kind of worth
I
it.
mean, I've always looked at it like this. Is it worth having all of that money, but you're constantly looking over your shoulder?
Right. No, that's very uncomfortable. I have to say no to that one for sure.
Because even when you get the money through legitimate means, there's always the family that might try to guilt trip you, the quote unquote friends who was like, hey, remember that one time? And then sometimes you have to deal with the people in your own corner. Like, let's say if you have people working for you, you might have somebody trying to like, take you down from the inside to take your spot. So there's always that, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not survival, self-confidence issues where you feel like, okay,
Mhm.
do I belong in this spot? Like you're questioning
Yep.
your own abilities. But and then
Yep.
also, this is a very relevant topic, because I look at the show and the world we live in today, what success really means. And there's usually always somebody trying to take your spot. Or if you work in like for me, it's on YouTube, but other people who do like TikTok or different forms of social media platforms, you always have to look at the ever changing algorithm, because one day, you're making good money, but then next month you might be falling off. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do to make it? And well, to be honest, with these different platforms, people hop on to try to make a quick buck. There image issues. That's what it is. Like, body image issues and whatnot. So
Right.
yeah, honestly, I'm glad we're doing this interview, because now I'm thinking of different topics of discussion for my other videos. So boom,
Yes.
go two-way
Yes.
street.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes along with the title of the show too.
Yes. Yes. I
The
mean, I
topic
look at
and the
the
title.
title.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at the title like, okay, Beauty in Black, but it's like, as a male, it's like I didn't expect to get anything from it. Like with
Hmm.
Sisters, when that first came or was first announced, I'm like, I don't really know, as a straight black man, what I can even add commentary wise. But KJ Smith told me,
Yes.
he's like, just watch the show and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find something. And I did, and now it's the
Yeah.
biggest show on my channel to review. So yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
And now that we've talked about the experience of working with Tyler Perry, I wanted to talk about the cast, because there are so many familiar faces. There are a number of new
Yes.
faces, and that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite elements of a Tyler Perry project. It's kind of like a fun Easter egg hunt for me to kind of see okay, I recognize this person from that play, this person from that movie, this person from that show. I mean,
Mm,
from looking at, and I remember way back in the day, when the Tyler Perry plays came out on DVD, and at the
hmm
end of some of the plays, you would have Tyler come out on stage and talk with the audience. And he would say that,
Okay.
oh, you probably saw like this face in like two other plays or a movie. If you see a
Mm,
familiar face multiple times over, it's because I enjoy working with them. So, see, I can count at least 8 different people on my screen right now that I recognize. I mean, Debbie Morgan, Richard Lawson, they
yes.
were just in the Amazon Prime Video Divorce in the Black, and now they're here. Oh,
Yes.
Ursula Robinson, she was in that film too.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
when it comes to this, you film stuff so fast. So I wanted to ask, were there any scenes being filmed that you weren't in, but you watch it being filmed that you enjoyed? But I don't know if you had time to do that because everything moves so fast.
I didn't have time to do it, but there were times when I was on set and they would be like further, we were in like a shopping store, shopping market area. So I would be like in one location and they would be like further down the way filming then. And then they would come back to where I was to like film our scene. So there were times where it was like multiple things shooting at the same time. Then there was like a motel. They were shooting in the motel and then I was right there, but I didn't get really, I didn't get to see anything because there was so many moving parts and pieces. But yeah.
Okay. Because I know
hmm
typically when it comes to the filming, I've been told that, you get like a big book of scripts, and it's never like, okay, it's going to film episodes 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you'll be working on episode 1 in the morning, but then episode 5 in the afternoon, and then you switch back to episode
Absolutely.
3 in the evening. So it's just
Mhm.
always changing around
All
because
over.
it's always like 100 and something pages of script being filmed in like a day.
Yes.
Man, that
hmm
wow.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
wild.
Tyler Perry projects in general, if it wasn't for Beauty in Black, because this is your first Tyler Perry project, out of
Yes.
all of the previous Tyler Perry projects you have auditioned for in the past, which one do you wish you would have gotten the most?
I really can't even think past Beauty and Black. Like Beauty and Black is like top tier. Like I can't even fathom anything else. Like none of those shows were number one on Netflix. Like what? Like this is where I want to be. So this is what was meant to happen. This is where I'm meant to be, and I'm just grateful. Like I can't even think back and say, "Oh, I wish I was on this show," because now I don't at all.
There you go.
At all.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that leads to the next topic because we already talked about the astronomical numbers that this series has gone through in only 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yes.
1 week it was
Yes.
like 1.2 billion. Now it's number one, and I
Yes.
also think about how this series did so well in the midst of the election season we just came out of. So you got to think about the different eyes that were looking at other things going on. So it just really makes me curious how well part 2 is going to do once that drops
Yeah.
at some point. Because some people want it right now. And I'm like, come on, people, just give it time. Because if you get it all at once now,
That's a
then
really
you're gonna
good
have to wait
point.
even longer for part season two.
Mm.
Season two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But that's a really good point also. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'll always look at it from that angle because
hmm
sometimes when I'm reviewing a TV show and let's say the ratings are down 1 week and I don't really follow sports, so sometimes fans have to remind me, it's like, hey Jeremy, the playoff game was happening, or this, that, and the third was happening. So yeah,
Right.
that really is impressive. But I know that from looking at his past projects, on shows that are just huge hits, especially on a platform like Netflix, I'm very curious to see what other kind of projects he's going to bring to Netflix in the future because I
Yes.
have no doubt in my mind that his current contract with Netflix, once it ends, they're probably going to give him an even bigger contract with different projects for the future. But I mean, I
Yeah.
just look at how this show, maybe because of his past success with different movies, they knew that giving a Tyler Perry contract more than like a few episodes was a good idea because I was shocked when I first read it and learned it was going to be a 16 episode season because typically I'm just
hmm
used to these shows being well 8 to 10 episodes for only season one.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I
and
agree.
I wonder if season two would be like 20 something episodes. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, because I look at his
Right.
shows on BET Plus, like Zatima. The first season was 10 episodes, and I think I read somewhere that one season was supposed to be it. But the fact that the
Mhm.
fans blew it up, that's why they got a season two with 20 episodes and a season three with 20 episodes. So
That's
I'm
amazing.
calling it now, and I think it goes without saying,
Yeah.
Beauty and Black at least 4 seasons. I'm just calling it.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
know that it's hard to tell what the future looks like for Tyler Perry projects because every time I think that um I wouldn't say he reached his cap, but there's always another project coming out of the woodwork. So I know not about your past auditions, but say hypothetically, if there was some sort of Tyler Perry movie coming out in the future, whether it be Medea or a thriller or a romantic comedy, is there a specific genre of film or TV you would like to be in that's Tyler Perry
Yeah,
produced?
you know what? If he kind of segued into sci-fi, that would be amazing for me. Even action would be super exciting. Sci-fi action. He's already kind of done a procedural show with like Mia Culpa, so that's something a lane that I would want to be in, kind of like Law or something like Hospital. But yeah, any of those spaces. I mean, any space he invites me to, I will go. But
Oh,
those would be super exciting for me. Yeah.
yeah. Hey, when a billionaire
Yeah.
calls, you answer.
You answer and you show up and you do your job. Yes.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think he's ever done sci-fi. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that. I know
Mm-mm.
he
Mm-mm.
hasn't dipped his toe in the water yet, but I have no doubt maybe he will in the future. I mean,
I'm sure. Right. Yeah.
oh, I have to ask this one question as well because I saw the gala in 2019 from videos and whatnot, and I see the different
Yeah.
pictures that people post when they're on Tyler Perry Studios. But what's it like when you go through those gates and you see it for the first time in the dream building and the big screens and whatnot?
It's like a dream because I mean, granted, I'm thankful I can go to the Paramount Studios and Universal and CBS and those lots, but like to know that a black man owns all of this and has all of this power, it just feels so like peaceful and like invigorating and I don't know, it just feels really good. Like it feels like when I go into these studios, the other lots like CBS, ABC, it doesn't give the same energy. This feels like somebody worked their butt off for this. And when you
Yeah,
go there, you just have that kind of respect going through that door. But it's just dreamy, like the dream building. Like dreams are made here. Like this show, as I was sharing with you before we got on, gives me Dakia Anderson from this show, as opposed to, oh, I know her from this show and that, and oh, was she on this show? Who is she? You know what I mean? So it's like he's giving opportunities to so many people, even like the community. He's given like employees jobs
yes.
that maybe have never stepped foot in the industry, entertainment industry, but people are working. So it's a really good feeling. It feels lovely. I don't know another word for it, but yeah.
Yeah, some people have said it's like Disneyland or Disney World. You just get off the bus or car, the limo, and it's just like a whole
Yeah.
new adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hmm.
Well, that about does it for the main questions because, like I said before the interview, I don't want to ask anything about part two. I think the hype is real. Once part two drops,
Yes.
it's going to be a smash. But when
Yes.
it comes to everything aside from Beauty and Black, and like I said before, folks, go to the Kia's IMDb page. You'll see a lot of different projects she's been in the past. But aside from Beauty and Black Part Two, and fingers crossed for season two and beyond, are there any upcoming projects that you could share that we can kind of keep an eye out for you in, whether it be
Sure.
shows?
Sure. I have a feature film that I'm the lead in called GPS. It'll be out on BET, hopefully, I don't know, soon. I have another feature film called Love is Illusion that I'm the lead in. Hopefully that'll be out on All Black soon. I don't have dates yet, but these are all coming out soon.
All right.
Uh, yeah. I have other movies that are on BET, All Black, Tubi. Just ready to work, you guys, getting it ready. And I think I start filming another feature that I'm the lead in,
Okay.
towards closer to the, I mean, we're at the end of the year, but I'm thinking like end of November, December-ish. So fingers crossed that we knock that out because that's been kind of slated to get done. So yeah,
All right. Well, I'm just jotting
keeping
this down here.
going.
I know another good question here. After
Sure.
looking at your list of different projects, and then you telling me about what you are coming up in terms of movies, whether it be
Yes.
BET All Black, how does it feel to be in the industry and it's changing so rapidly, from last year with the strikes and the looming shadow of AI and what that could mean for actors and people who work behind the cameras in the future. Do you have any like thoughts on that, or do you have any ways to that you are kind of maneuvering around that?
Actually, Jeremy, yeah, so I hear it a lot, but I just don't subscribe to that reality. So that's my best way to just not, I don't want to say it's ignorance or to just not deal with it or avoid it, but I'm grateful that I've been working and I continue to work and I have other projects lined up. So I just will not subscribe to that reality. I try not to even have those conversations because I'm a big believer in like manifesting and speaking what you want into existence. So I try to just like, let that be. I'm aware, I see it, but I don't deal with it. I don't have to, thankfully, So, yeah.
Yeah, because that's a good way to look at it, because I know people who let's say they want to get into acting or they want to get into screenwriting or working with the camera, yet everything that went down last year and the advancements with technology is kind of deterring people from even pursuing that dream. So just based off what you said, it's one of those situations where it's pretty much, hey, I'm making lemonade with the lemons I have. And if they turn
Yep.
sour, well, I'll figure out something else. But it is great, to see that optimism, but also just
Yes.
hearing you have upcoming projects, because it is a struggle, for some people out there
Yes,
who,
sir.
you know, I can't imagine what it's like being in the industry, because it's just so ever changing. And for me, like, it's just a matter of, okay, what show do I want to review, on the channel? Like, do I think it will get numbers? My attitude has always been, I'm always going to review something that I enjoy watching, because there are shows I know for a fact that if I reviewed them, I would have higher subscriber counts and whatnot. But I try to look at it as a way to express my thoughts on shows I, like watching. That way it doesn't
Yes.
feel like work. So it just comes naturally. But yeah, I love the
Yeah.
attitude you have towards it, because, kind of like,
Yeah.
well, not to get too political, but the election and what just happened there, we don't really know what the future holds, but all we can do is just take it one day at a time.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right on. And thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to ask was, we've already talked about your upcoming projects, but are there any social media platforms you would like to promote? And I will be sure to put links in the comment section at the top so people can go, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Sure. So on Instagram, I'm at Dakia Anderson. So it's just my name spelled out. So at DKIAANDERSON. And on TikTok, it's like my workout TikTok. I don't really post a lot of my entertainment things there. So, but that's Dakia Anderson 1 at DKIAANDERSON, the number one.
Number one. Got it.
Yep. Thank you for sharing
Oh,
those.
no problem. And aside from that, let's see. Are there any final thoughts you would like to express while I have you here?
Sure. Be authentic in anything you do in this world. I feel like that gets you the farthest in life. That's all. Just my 2 cents.
All right. Well, it's 2 cents, but it's worth a lot of money in terms of being authentic.
Absolutely.
It definitely
Absolutely.
takes you further than being fake or being something you think you need to be to get your foot in the door. Because once that facade
Absolutely.
comes crumbling down, then what do you have left?
Who are you? That part.
Exactly. All right.
Yep.
Well, Dakia, thank you so much for tuning in. I think we got a lot accomplished here today. I think it just gave fans enough hype to say, you know what, part one, I loved it, or I'm curious, and now you check it out, folks. The show would not have the number one spot in over 1 billion minutes viewed in the first week if it wasn't worth at least checking out. That's all I have to say
That
about that.
part.
All
Yes.
right. Well,
Thank
hey,
you so much for having me, Jeremy.
Oh, you're very welcome. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed the review. Make sure to check out Beauty in Black. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and I will catch you all in the next video.